Thank you, Madam Speaker, and Mr. Majority Leader, and America. The President promised help is on the way, and today, help has arrived. Help has arrived for the workers who lost their jobs. Help has arrived for the students who've been stuck at home. Help has arrived for the families that have struggled to put food on their table, and for the small businesses that have struggled to keep their doors open. Help has arrived, America. This landmark legislation will get relief to families, get support to communities, and make sure more shots get in arms. And I want to thank the Speaker, Nancy Pelosi, and Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, and all of the members of Congress who voted for this legislation and helped lead to its success. And of course, we would not be here today were it not for the leadership of our President, Joe Biden. And I just want to say something about the President. From the beginning of this, Joe said, we got to tell the stories. We got to tell the stories. We got to show that we understand what the people are experiencing and what they need. And I've been in rooms with Joe when it's just he and I. I've been in rooms with Joe when it's just a small group of our team or when the cameras are there, and he's the same person every time. And he's always talking about what do the people need. And you know, when the President and I were preparing to take office, we knew what we were up against. So we started working on a plan, this plan, the American Rescue Plan. And Mr. President, from the very start, you sought the people out. You asked them, as only Joe can do, how you doing? You listened to what they said, and you remembered what they said. And every day, in every meeting, you reminded us who we were doing this for, the American people, and in particular, the American people who are hurting the most, the workers who have been out of a job for 6 months to a year, the families that lost a loved one, the communities that have been torn apart by this deadly virus. You, Mr. President, have carried a card in your breast pocket with the number of those Americans who have died from COVID-19. Every day he carries that card, literally keeping their memory close to your heart. You have grieved, Mr. President, out loud with our nation, mourning the loss of so many extraordinary Americans. Your empathy has become a trademark of your presidency and can be found on each and every page of the American Rescue Plan. Joe Biden, Mr. President, you had a vision, you had a purpose, and you had faith that the American people, regardless of who they voted for, would support this plan, simply because it will help. You had faith that Congress would pass this plan simply because it is the best thing for the American people. And you put in the work to make it happen, to get relief directly to the American people. And we've both served in the Senate, so we know there's rarely been a bill that's so concrete and tangible. Mr. President, people will feel and they will see what we all did here. They will see the checks in their bank accounts. They will see the child tax credits when they file their taxes, when they return to work, when they return to school, when they reopen their businesses, when they hug their grandchildren for the first time in a year. Americans will see what we did here, what you did, Mr. President, and they will feel the impact of this bill for generations to come. And that's what happens when you make historic investments in communities of color, and tribal communities, and rural communities. That's what happens when you lift half of those children living in poverty out of poverty. Because of you, Mr. President, Help has arrived, and on behalf of our nation, thank you. And it is now my great, great honor to introduce the President of the United States of America, Joe Biden.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Kamala. You know, when I look out over what happened the last 50 days, when Jill and I first got a chance to move into this magnificent building behind you, I promised the American people, and I guess it's becoming an overused phrase, that help was on the way. But today, with the American Rescue Plan now signed into law, we've delivered on that promise. And I don't mean I've delivered, we've delivered. Look out there and all of you. Patty, there'd still be people, kids in poverty, were it not for all the work you did all those years. And I want to say to Bernie, stepping up and making the case why this was so transformational made a big difference in how a lot of people voted. I look out at all of you, House members as well, who have made the case to the American people why this is so important. I watched my buddy Jim down in South Carolina stand up and talk about how it's going to affect individual people. My inclination is to mention every single one of you, because I think I've called most of you and thanked you already for what you did. I even called Pallone. He wasn't there, though. He was on the other side of the river. We joke all the time. He's in New Jersey. I'm in Delaware. I keep reminding him Delaware owns the Delaware River up to the high water mark in New Jersey. But all kidding aside, I want to thank you all. I want to thank particularly the Speaker, who from day one, from the very first day I got the nomination, was supportive in ways that are hard for me to describe. And, you know, I served a long time in the United States Senate, longer than anybody if I was still there at the time other than Pat. And if I were still in the Senate, I'd be Senator Pro Tem, because I was 2 years ahead of Pat. But all kidding aside, we've served with a lot of great majority leaders. But I never saw anybody handle such a controversial, consequential piece of legislation that was right on the edge than Chuck Schumer. I owe you, Chuck. You did an incredible job. And look, and to the members of the House and Senate, thanks for making this happen. You made it happen.
Hey guys, did you know we have a podcast called WJ Live?
The Western Journal's mission is to equip readers with the truth, and that's the same mission we have on WJ Live.
You'll hear from writers, editors, and special guests on the most important topics of the day.
You can watch us every day at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific on youtube.com/WJ Live.
While you're there, help us out by subscribing and hitting the bell so you don't miss any future episodes. See you there.